The Brihadisvara temple at Tanjore is still today one of the most stupendous monuments ever built in India. While often seen primarily as a religious monument, its inscriptions also reveal a Chola court of spectacular opulence, capable of gifting literal tons of gold and silver, thousands of animals, and tens of thousands of pearls. Sometimes we hand wave the question of how medieval Indian kings obtained such vast riches, but in the figure of Rajaraja Chola, perhaps the most remarkable ruler of the medieval period, we have some interesting and counterintuitive answers. In the late 10th century, the political situation in South Asia was dismal. Just a few decades prior, great trans-regional imperial formations, the Rashtrakutas, Palas and Pratiharas, had lorded it over the subcontinent before being shattered by various internal forces. This left India divided among many small regional kingdoms. One of these were the Cholas, who at the time were led by a dowager queen, Sembian Mahadevi, one of the most formidable figures in Indian religious history, who deserves a future video of her own. Now, Sembian and her son, King Uttama Chola, did not move to exploit the broader political situation and instead strengthened the Cholas' position at home. They built alliances with the Tamil gentry through temple patronage. An interesting example of this comes from the 970s when Uttama went to Kanchipuram in northern Tamil Nadu. His court made administrative arrangements at the Ulagalanda Perumal temple, one of the city's many Vishnu shrines. Uttama ordered that new immigrants to the city were to give a monthly quota of oil and rice to the temple. Weaver communities who traditionally received interest-bearing loans from the temple were appointed its managers to audit these immigrants' dues. And finally, the chief of Kanchi's merchant assembly was given the lucrative honor of administering the temple accounts on behalf of the Cholas. Now, all of these made Chola temples not just devotional centers, but also economic and political centers where capital could be accrued, directed to businesses, and used to build relationships with important constituents. Rajaraja Chola was Uttama's successor, though for reasons which are too complex to get into here, the two didn't have the best relationship. What we can say for sure is that Rajaraja didn't continue Uttama's sedate foreign policy. At his accession, the upper Tamil plain finally possessed the mix of factors, internal cohesion and external disarray, to turn the tables on all its neighbours. And this Rajaraja did with violent efficiency, leading expeditions to the Malabar Coast, Sri Lanka and southern Karnataka. Now, what really set Rajaraja apart is what he did after these expeditions. Most medieval Indian kings would simply demand tribute, vassalize foreign rulers, and return home. It was just too difficult logistically to try and administer conquered territory. But Rajaraja broke the mold. In South Karnataka, he renamed Talakad, an old regional center, as Rajarajapuram or Rajaraja city. In Lanka, taking control of the town of Polonnaruwa, he renamed it Jananathapuram or People's Leader City. These would hereafter serve as Chola centers. Rajaraja was able to do this with confidence because he had the support of Tamil merchant assemblies who migrated to both regions accompanied by professional mercenaries. These Tamil merchants enabled the Chola kingdom to become a Chola empire. In fact, according to the Chola Vamsa, a Sri Lankan chronicle, it was a Tamil horse merchant who tipped Rajaraja off about the island's political situation, which enabled the Chola conquest. And Rajaraja rewarded the merchant assemblies appropriately. As historian Mira Abraham argues in Two Medieval Merchant Guilds of South India, inscriptions suggest that they took over pearl fisheries on Lanka's north shore right after that. But paralleling this was Rajaraja's own remarkable administrative prowess. He amplified by several degrees the temple patronage policy of his grand aunt Sembian Mahadevi. After each war, he gifted animals, gold, and jewels at strategically chosen sacred sites. These gifts were accompanied with eulogies to his martial prowess, turning them essentially into medieval political advertisements. This effectively broadcast his charisma into the Tamil countryside, winning over subjects, recruits, and administrators. From the 990s onwards, Rajaraja's court set up new administrative divisions, all bearing his titles such as Keralantha Kavalanada, roughly Kerala Destroyer Prosperity District. This created easily the deepest taxation system in all of medieval South Asia. So, with all this in mind, let's return to where we began, Rajaraja's colossal Brihadisvara temple at Tanjore. Here are the overall numbers as calculated by historian S. Balasubramaniam in Middle Chola temples Rajaraja I to Kulothunga I. Rajaraja alone gifted to the temple 38,604 gold coins. This alone was more than what most European courts at the time could muster. Then there are the precious corals, pearls and jewels, about 85 total, which Rajaraja's inscriptions declare were seized from the rival Pandya and Chera dynasties. These were valued at 8,462 coins. Then 155 silver items similarly seized from the Cheras and Pandyas with a value of 48,400 gold coins. Adding all of these up, the gifts that Rajaraja alone gifted were worth 95,466 gold coins, several tons of this precious metal. Now, Rajaraja's sister and queens also made gifts of bronze idols adorned with tens of thousands of Lankan pearls. There's no earlier indication that these ladies had large treasuries of their own, which suggests that their fortune stemmed from Rajaraja himself, and the ultimate source of this was the seized treasures of Rajaraja's political rivals. But this is merely the tip of the temple spire. The temple received ghee from 1,623 cows, 2,563 ewes, and 40 buffaloes, about 40% of which were gifted by Rajaraja himself. And there were over 5,000 tons of rice brought in annually, mostly from nearby villages, but also from conquered territories. Rajaraja's officers and army regiments also made gifts to the temple, and its staff came from across Chola territories, which turned the temple into a political center for the imperial elite. But all these endowments were not just intended to conduct rituals. Like his uncle Uttama, Rajaraja was also aware of the temple's potential as an economic engine. Its animals were gifted to shepherds, especially in the kingdom's drier regions. In return, the shepherds were to send the temple constant gifts of ghee for its lamps, and gold coins were loaned to Brahmin assemblies in the still wild lower Kaveri Delta, which allowed them to clear forests and set up irrigation in return for a neat 12.5% annual interest. So, what made Rajaraja Chola the richest man on earth? Military daring, alliances with merchants, smart public relations, and administrative genius. But more than anything else, it was his boundless imagination to break with the old, to create new institutions. As we'll see in next week's video, this ability to imagine was shared by his son and successor Rajendra, though sometimes with morally difficult consequences. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Follow us everywhere on social media. You can find me on Instagram at @Buddha and on Twitter at @Kaniseti. See you next week.